introduction. I would also like to thank the GWF and my Romanian friends, their global partners, for having me here. It's an honor, it's a privilege for me to be able to talk about my work in front of all of you. And I would like to start with a small story because I started my work as a reporter in my last year of college doing my shit. In 2017, while covering a technology event in Berlin, I had a small revelation. A company was showcasing this particular door lock that you see behind me. In order to understand that at that time IoT, Internet of Things, was still a novelty, and we were eager to discover and to explore devices that would become part of our future lives. But this particular door lock stood out, and you know why? It was not the technology itself, it was not the innovation behind it, but the simple fact that it didn't replace your existing mechanical lock. It just came over it, and at the same time, it could have been controlled by a smartphone. And then it hit me that it's all about adaptability, and the best way to approach technology is to be able to adapt to what comes in the future. And you probably guess where I'm heading with this. As journalists and media professional, we must be ready to embrace change ourselves and adapt to the evolving digital landscape. We need to be agile and to be open to innovation in order to stay relevant and resilient. So once again, I'm Silviu Calangiu. I come from Romania, have a 20-year expertise in media, and right now I'm involved in the crazy, beautiful project called Euronews Romania, which looks a little bit like this. Next slide, please. Thank you. You can also download our app, a little bit of advertising network. I work with a very enthusiastic team of youth. I'm the one ruining the age average in the office, and these are some of our performances in the past 12 months. So we've reached, I'm very proud of the 23 million views on YouTube in 2024, and I'm even prouder of the 40 million page views in the last 12 months. And of course, our 3,000 members on social media. To be able not to talk in general about media, I will strictly refer to the Romanian market, because as I was swapping some ideas with the other distinguished guests at this beautiful conference, I noticed that they do have the same problems that we have in Romania. So we are a particular case because if you get a look over the slide, we have a crazy internet penetration rate of 90% of the population. So 9 out of 10 Romanians are able to use the internet, and they do use it because we are 19 million inside our borders, but we have 28 million mobile phones. This is why the next step was to create a digital identity so that 2 out of 3 Romanians have active online personas. That's more than 30 million people out of 19. But this comes with a downside as well. Because if you look at the low trust tab, you will see that 46% of the population relies on Facebook for news. Who relies on Facebook for news anymore? 29% rely on social media and on influencer, and only then 24% have a look at what mainstream news have to put on the table that they're offered. The overall trust in news, according to Reuters Digital News Report for 2024, is only 27%, situating Romania at the bottom of the rankings. So let's have a look at what are we up against. So of course, disinformation and fake news, and I think we can all agree that we have changed a lot. The world has changed a lot in the past 5 years. We've had COVID, we've had the pandemics. Now we are in the middle of wars. And then AI came up with something that blew our minds and forced us to reposition ourselves and to reapproach media strategies. Speaking of technology, it's not AI that is affecting us on our daily work. It's also the algorithm that is. It's very frustrating to create quality content, to place it on top of your website, or to produce quality videos, and to see that they only get a couple of hundreds or couple of thousand views because an algorithm that no one can describe with accuracy is deciding this instead of you. Of course, there's also financial challenges, and these not only start with the small salaries that the journalists are being paid, and I think that's not the case for Romania only, but also with other content industries growing. And I'm especially referring to streaming, which is getting huge in Europe. In Europe, for example, the Max platform, the ex-HBO Max, I think it's called Max in the States, they broadcasted all the Olympics with multiple cameras, and for only $4 a month, you were able to see whichever sport you like, whichever you desire, whichever camera, whichever athlete. This is the future, if you ask me. And other streaming industries are becoming competitors for traditional media outlets, but also gambling. That's a serious issue, at least in the eastern part of Europe. Even more serious are the legal political pressures, the government censorship and the repression. And I just found out in a conversation with our friends from Turkey 2 days ago about the girls' trial in Turkey. I don't know if you know about it. Of course, because no one writes about it. At this point, as we speak, in Istanbul, I think 14 girls with ages between 13 and 17 are in court because they are suspected to have links with the Hizmet movement. And their only mistakes they're accused of are crazy. They are accused of playing together, studying together, meeting. Media doesn't write about this. That's a major issue. And of course, we're fighting public distrust and news fatigue. I feel myself like a Mila Boy Pride Wolf movie. Okay, in order to fight all these obstacles, we need to keep our digital integrity. And in order to do that, we have to first start with a multi-platform content strategy and creation. We are no longer living in times in which you should settle for a single media. You have a smartphone, you have the ability to go online, you should go where your audience is. Then you should use data. You cannot longer function as a newsroom if you don't use data. You should be data-driven digital first. You should expand the usage of analytics and prediction tools. In order to do that, of course, you have to train your journalists. I'm talking about digital literacy, and I'm talking about the fact, for example, in Euronews Romania, the work of our journalists, then this is my mantra, and this is what I'm trying to pass to them, and I manage with, I don't know, 10% of them, but it's a huge victory for me as well. Your job hasn't finished when your news was there. You then have to think about it. Where else should I go with it? Should I put it on the website? Should I create a different form of content for a specific social media channel? Of course, we need support from our management, and they should invest in tools that empower newsrooms and journalists. And they also should work with tech platforms and regulatory bodies, because only journalists know how journalists can be regulated, if you ask me. And I have evolved some ideas. This is actually some strategy that I'm trying to apply in Euronews Romania. I start with communicating like we're because you cannot talk to your audience like 20 years ago. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. And when I say transparent, both informational and in a financial way, because you have to let your audience know where your last paying you cash in comes from. Then I'm struggling and I'm fighting to understand consumption habits, because as I put down here, no one waits for the 7 o'clock news to be informed anymore. We all have mobiles, we all use our mobiles. It's a mistake to think that you can address an audience at 7 o'clock. You should go to social media, if you ask me. After going to social media, you have to be able to profile your consumer, and for that you have to be a data-driven organization. You should engage your audience. You should develop subscription-based content, and also look for alternative revenue models. And that's one thing that small outlets can do: look for alternative revenue models. Starting with crowdfunding, starting with brands, starting with collaborating with CSR departments. In large companies, they are very much interested in paying for curated content on quality website. And also, if you can develop a subscription-based model, at least for, 2% of your audience, that's a good start. And also, get original. Look at what New York Times is doing with gamification and think of that as a strategy for the larger audiences. I started by talking about a technology event I attended, and I will wrap it up in the same manner. So I was in Lisbon in November last year, and while strolling around the booths, I've stumbled upon this panel where It was like an ad hoc survey. You were given these small sticky dots that you had to stick on one of the sections that you see above me here. And people were asked which industry will be most transformed by generative AI, ChatGPT, and similar products. And most of the people chose media. I wasn't surprised that they chose media, but at the same time, I wasn't even mad because the next day I got to attend this amazing presentation by Cassie Kozikov. I recommend you to follow her. She's an ex-data scientist in Google, and she was talking about the key skills to have, top skills to have in the future. And she wrote down in there, decision making is top skill to have in the future, design, creativity, communication, problem solving, engineering, social and interpersonal collaboration, trust, adaptability. How many of these do you need in order to be a good journalist? Well, I would say nearly all of them, if not all of them. Thank you.